Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. The philosophers, the thinkers, and even the religious leaders have always been excited about the concept of infinity. But there has been a difference in the interpretation, in the elucidation, in the explanation of what we call infinity. The metaphysical talk, the spiritual talk, is much different than the secular one. By secular one I mean scientific, logical, reasonable. And the newest talking point, as a matter of fact, in all circles, whether it's religion, philosophy, metaphysics, and even mathematics, is about infinity and the size of infinity. The question arises, if the infinity is endless, there is no limit, can it be circumscribed by a particular size? And this curious topic is raising several questions that are being debated. Nothing is proved, because it's impossible to prove that. Nothing can be tested. So this makes the discussions very exciting and opens up immense possibilities of speculation. As a matter of fact, interestingly, although we perceive infinity as something that goes on forever, our ancestors, now metaphysically speaking and historically speaking, understood infinity in a very different manner. Ancient Indian philosophers grasped it as something from which parts could be removed or added, but the entity would remain the same. Now this is something paradoxical. If it's infinite and parts of it are removed, there must be some subtraction. The logic doesn't accept that the whole entity would remain the same even if you take out a part or add a part. Now this concept of being inviolable has always intrigued people. And it's always possible to think of a larger number, because the number of the times the magnitude can be bisected is infinite. Hence the infinite is the potential, never the actual. So the people who say there are infinite opportunities, they are mistaken. It's a potentially there might be, but they are not actual. Until and unless you can quantify something, it would always remain in the ambit of speculation. And because of that, the number of parts that can be taken away always surpasses any assigned number. Now, although the concept of infinity has a mathematical base, we have yet to perform an experiment that yields an infinite result, even in mathematics. The idea of something that could have no limit is paradoxical. For example, there is no largest counting number, nor is there the biggest odd or even number. The observable universe that you see around you is finite, in that it has never existed forever. Evolution has already been taking place, new stars are being added, some stars are going in oblivion. And if I look at the extent, the dimensions of this universe, observable universe, through the telescopes, Hubble telescopes, James Webb telescope now has been added to that. The total extent of the universe in every direction from us, if you are a center of a circle, is 46 billion light years. 46 billion light years in every direction from you. Now, while our universe is 13.8 billion years old, the observable universe reaches further since the universe is expanding. Now, working with the infinite is a tricky business. The first time the Western philosophers thought of this was 450 years before Christ. It was Zeno's paradox. Zeno's paradoxes was the first to alert the Western philosophers to this idea, and when he argued that a fast runner such as Achilles has an infinite number of places to reach during the pursuit of a slower runner. Infinite number of places to reach. There are two racers. How can it be infinite? But he says you cannot count them. Since then, there has been a struggle to understand. After this, Zeno came up with this paradox. There has been a struggle to understand how to use the notion of infinity in a coherent manner. So the significance and the controversial role of the concept of infinity and the infinite play in the disciplines of philosophy, physical science and mathematics are very important. Philosophers want to know whether there is one inherent concept of infinity which entitles and allocates properties that are infinitely large or infinitely small or infinitely divisible and infinitely numerous. Which argument can justify answers one way or the other? Now, Hindu worldview has always been obsessed with infinity. Westerners, as I said, came up with this concept only with Zeno 450 years before Christ. But Hindu worldview has always been obsessed. Everythingness is infinity, zero is nothingness, and with the number one, the beginning. This is a stark contrast to the Greek worldview, where the word begins as chaos until the gods create order. But look at the Hindu view, Anant. Ananta means infinity. In fact, in the most appropriate Sanskrit word is Ananta. Ant means the end, and its reverse Anant means endless. Puran means complete. However, in some ancient Indian scripture, the word Purnam was used to mean infinity. So this concept of infinity has intrigued Hindu philosophers, theologians and others. Now this infinity could come in different sizes. It's something that modern set theorists are exploring. The Hindu philosophy did not think of that. They are looking at adding more axioms and building a conventional continuum hypothesis. That is hypothesizing that what we term as the real numbers that fill the number line. But the new research shows that the most unending digits like 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 9 outnumber natural numbers like 1 to 3. Even though there are infinitely many more of both. So does that mean that the total number of real number is unknowable? And if it's unknowable, then what's the use of the numbers? Again, another paradigm and a paradox. Or there could be multiple infinites with their own totals of numbers, which if add up, could in fact point to the size of mathematical infinity. So far that I can decipher that infinite numbers in mathematics is a matter of speculation, but it has triggered a metaphysical thought train. When we talk of infinite space, the infinite nature of human consciousness, the infinite permutations, combinations and possibilities of nature, we are talking about an eternally evolving universe. And that universe and the consciousness, where again the size of infinity is not determined in stone, is ananta. So if it's anant, how can you cast it in stone? Could be that the infinities come in different sizes. Can you assign a number to infinity in numeric or in any other term? If we consider the theory that universe is expanding, as we said already are, 46 billion years, light years, so 46 billion light years around you on all sides, give and take a few billion. But the moment you say give and take a few billion, it's no longer an infinity. So all cosmic bodies, are like spots on an inflating balloon. Consider that. There's an ant on a huge balloon, and all the cosmic bodies are like stars on that inflated balloon. Now for that ant, it's infinity. But a person flying high up can see it's not. As a matter of fact, the inflating balloon is getting farther and farther apart. And would that mean that the possibility that the balloon bursts and the universe collapses into itself? Another aspect of infinity. If a thing keeps on expanding exponentially, without limit, should it not explode? And that begins all over, continuing the infinite cycle of the birth and the death. And in Puranas, it's mentioned that when metaphysically the growth is such that it is terrifying, then the death is natural. The destruction is natural. It's preordained. So infinity remains an enigma by itself. The whole infinite cycle of birth and death, creation, recreation, make the whole thing absolutely speculative. This is an infinity in the physical universe. And going to the metaphysical dimension, it's much more expansive. The most deeply intriguing yet simple aspect of infinity can be experienced in human consciousness, where individual consciousness comes from linked to the universal consciousness, which is omnipresent. And it's a sort of non-local metaphysical reality. And this metaphysical reality has nothing to do with the physical infinities. Another aspect is biological life is organic. Some schools of thought believe that all organisms are endowed with consciousness, and that helps them survive. And so to the extent that they are self-aware and self-conscious, therefore all life is sacred. And that's why the Hindu philosophy believes that trees are sacred because they have life. Grass is sacred. Cow is a mother. Animals are animate, so they have life. But even inanimate things, even amoeba has life. And if you know the Jains, they covered their faces so that bacteria are some infinitesimal small insects cannot go inside. They don't breathe them in because all life is sacred. So the human mind has the potential to tap into the universal mind, and it transcends the organic, progressing from local to non-local and sometimes going back and forth. If religious concepts are designed to understand the science of mind, then it becomes clear why the universal mind has been called Brahma. And now that is a concept of infinity, Anand and Brahma. You can call it Brahma in Indian philosophy, you can call it Chi in the Chinese, energy field, you can call it divine ocean, you can call it life force, and if nothing satisfies you call it God, period. God is infinite, God is omnipresent, God is all pervasive. So whether you call this or you call that, it's ultimately endless, boundless, unmeasurable, unquantifiable concept. So Brahma and Ananta, Chi energy field, divine ocean. These are the metaphysical aspects, because mathematically till Ramanujan came on the field in the 18th century, could not in any way define. So why not give it a metaphysical coloring and leave it at that? You know, if you think of the philosophy from panpsychism, an ancient Greek thought, came the thought of Anaxagoras universal mind. So your mind, your consciousness is identical to a consciousness of an orangutan in Africa or koala in Australia or a kangaroo over there. And Socrates and Plato's ethical mind and the Tibetan Buddhist effort at mind-life balance dialogues stretching from that period, Socrates and panpsychism to Buddhist scholars to the present times, who are, when the scientists are willing to listen to the religious interpretation, to understand infinitely better, we have come full circle. And now there is a synthesis in thought between the metaphysics and scientifics. Scientists have said that other things being equal, pari passu. That means there are many things which science itself cannot explain. So since we have come full circle, even extrapolating the concept of Ouroboros, the infinity snake eating its own tail, now this was a very interesting symbol. A snake eating its own tail and then becoming bigger, self-creative, self-destroying, self-creating, and that's infinity, because it symbolizes the endless cycle of creation and destruction. So infinity basically encompasses human consciousness, human thought, and mathematical aspect is just a speculative aspect which cannot in any way be quantified. And if a thing cannot be quantified, then you have to consider it, interpret it, understand it, comprehend it from the point of view of metaphysics, spirituality, or shall I say, believe in Ananta. And if you do that, you would understand that the metaphysics and science are essentially identical in comprehending the consciousness, which is the real infinity. Thank you.